Kunal, welcome, man, and thanks a lot for joining us. I'm super excited to hearing your story, hearing why you from one day to the other just let everything go and move to Portugal. I want to hear about that. And what you're building at the moment and why you're maxing out your credits. I think we all thought that was pretty interesting. So Kunal had a marketing company in Canada and all over the world, actually. And for 15 years, right? Or am I wrong? Through 30 countries.
Yeah.
You were born and raised and educated in Canada. And you have a newsletter, and you have a book that I'm actually reading right now, which is really great. So Kunal, over to you. What can you tell us our story and introduce what you're going to talk about today?
Yeah, absolutely. Is everybody in? Nick just texted me saying he's waiting to get in. But I'm sure they'll come in.
There's been some confusion with links. Maybe I can. The link that you entered in our group is the right one, and the event link is the right one.
Okay.
Do you want me to send him a message?
That's fine. I just sent it. I sent him a message. Yeah. Steven, nice to see you. It's late for you. No, it's earlier for you. It's early for you.
Yeah, it's 5 p.m. for me. Nice to see you too. I managed to make it. I found some time, so all good.
Great. Also, so thank you to everyone for making the time. And excited to share with you. I've got a lot to demo, so I'm going to lean heavily into the show versus tell. Just a bit about me, though, so you have some background. My name is Kunal. I'm originally from Canada, born and raised and educated. And I came to Portugal 5 years ago. And in 2023, I helped start the AI community in Portugal shortly after ChatGPT launched, and we organized meetups and events and dinners, and it was a lot of fun. Tried to start a few AI startups as well. They did not succeed, so they failed. I burnt out a little bit. I left Portugal at the end of 2023 and just started traveling the world and ended up in Sydney, Australia, and met my now wife, Tanya. And I ended up just staying in Australia for about 1.5 years with her. And then about 6 months ago, we moved back to Portugal. We're here in Lisbon full time. And we got married a few months ago. So this is kind of, thank you. This is like Portugal round 2 for me. And I'm back and getting deep into AI. So I took a break for about 1.5 years and had a lot of ideas, had a lot of projects. And I'm really glad I did that, because it's like AI matured and went from being, a young adolescent to probably a university or college student. And then after today, maybe a postgrad, and seeing what Claude launched. So as I'm sure many entrepreneurs here, we have ideas that are far out and to seeing possibilities. And it's great to see the tech kind of catch up. So in the last, about 1 year ago, I started to use Lovable. Then I switched over to Replit, and then Claude, and then Codex, etc. And I'll get into the tools and I'll show you my setup. But I'd say for the last 6 months, I've gone, quite deep. And the last 3 months, definitely into my own AI psychosis, which Tanya asked if she should join the call today, and I said absolutely not, because she doesn't know everything I've been building, and if she sees how I've been spending my time, then she'll have even more feedback from me. So I'm excited to share more with you guys. So that's a bit of context. Any questions or comments as I pull up a few things to show you?
Huge congrats. First off, that's the only comment. Congrats, man.
Thank you. Okay, so let's jump in. So out of curiosity, how frequently does our group tonight vibe code? I want to get a sense of how addicted this group is.
Do
Hourly.
you want us to write that in the comments? A, B, or
Sure.
C?
Yeah. Let's write it in the chat.
Yeah.
And don't worry, it's not no judgment.
I like yours, Amanda.
Barely move without it.
All right. So it seems like it's across the board, but everybody, is in it to some degree. Everyone is in it to some degree. So this is just like a couple of my stats. So I'm using about 2 billion tokens per week. Don't judge me. Don't judge my carbon footprint for that. And I do have 5 plans, 2 on Claude, 3 on Codex, and I'm hitting limits. Daily limits, across the accounts every single day, but then weekly limits as well. We've got 4 projects that are live. I'm excited to share them with you. And, I'll share with you a bunch of stuff I've been building, both what's live and what's kind of in construction. But I think what's probably most interesting is more like what I'm learning along the process of building, irrespective of what I'm building. So yeah, I'm deep into it, and I want to start by sharing with you guys Vibin, and that's my hero project. And I've got lots of things to share with you, but this is the one I'm most proud of and the one that I'm spending the most amount of my energy behind. And we'll jump in. So what I'm going to show you here is fully vibe coded. So I did write, I studied software engineering around a software business, but I haven't written a single line of code or looked at a single line of code in anything I'm going to show you tonight. So Vibin started with the idea of solving a personal pain point of information overload when it comes to learning how to build with AI. And what you're seeing here is it's Vibin.live. And this is started, with a curated feed of like, as a builder in AI, what do I need to know? And this is a bit inspired from Reddit and Hacker News. In the sense, there's topics that are curated. What people are saying about it across social is brought here into one place. And this has now replaced X for me and other social platforms. I'm able to get everything that I need to know about what's happening in one place. And I've got video and everything is here. And it's limited to 10 to 20 updates a day, so it doesn't fall into the overwhelm category. And most importantly, it's curated. There's a daily podcast, which I
Hey builders, here's what's on the radar today on Vibin Radio. We're talking about Anthropic resetting Claude's limits.
So you get the idea. There's a feed, so if I want to go deeper, I can pick people that I want to follow. For some of you guys know Igor. He's a Lisbon native. Now he lives in Lisbon. He's one of the biggest YouTubers in AI. He's got about 500,000 subscribers on YouTube and creating great content. And he lives around the corner from me here in Lisbon. So I can see all of Igor's latest content, or I can. This is my favorite podcast to listen to, the AI Daily Brief. I listen to it almost every day. And I can just now listen to it.
On the AI Daily Brief.
Inside Vibin. And then we have about like 4,000 creators that are producing high quality content on the topics of vibe coding and learning to build. And all that comes into my feed. I'll show you this. I'll show you the mobile view. So here is channels. So this one is on parenting. So this one's called Vibe Parenting.
I don't plan summer break activities anymore. That's Claude's job. Welcome to episode.
So I can keep talking over it, but essentially what you're seeing here is essentially everything happening related to vibe coding and parenting, which I'm sure many people here are parents. From TikTok, from Instagram, from YouTube, like all of that is coming in here and all curated. There's a vibe cooking channel, so everybody's using AI to help them cook. It's all coming in here. That's a new feature, and there's this assistant feature, which allows me to ask questions, and it's a chatbot that's trained on all the content coming in. It's actually better than ChatGPT and Claude in terms of helping me debug and helping me evaluate tools. And there's more coming. So that's the first project. This is my hero project that I wanted to start off with. This is 100% vibe coded. I do have one freelancer part-time who's been working with me. He's based in the US. And this is something that I started working on and off in January this year. And it's live. You can check it out. There's a mobile app as well on the App Store for iOS, and it's quite slick. So I wanted to share that with you first as a first product demo, and hear your questions or feedback on this.
Looks amazing, man. There's a dude in the UK named Duncan who has a company called Barnacle Labs, and he's built something kind of along a similar sort of lines, which you might want to check out, which is super cool. He's a really good guy. If you get into it and want to have a chat, like, let me know. I'd love to try to connect you guys. But it's pretty sweet. Similar sort of thing. Really curating it down and trying to make something that's easily digestible for his whole entire team. So it's worth a peek.
Yeah, I will take a look. Thank you.
You're welcome. Looks amazing though.
Yeah, I encourage you guys all to try it out. You sign up, you get a beautiful email each day. There's a WhatsApp integration that is very slick as well. And it's really helped me cut out the noise and find the signal from the noise.
Kunal, what's the estimate of how many tokens this Vibin cost you?
It has to be well over 100 billion. Actually, probably more. Yeah. Because Pat, who's my freelancer, he's got 4 plans as well. So we're pumping. Actually, it's more than that, because we have about 4,000 pieces of content coming into our backend from X, LinkedIn, Spotify, YouTube, newsletters. So there's 4,000 pieces of content a day anything related to vibe coding on the internet is coming into Vibin. And there's obviously AI calls to process that, to categorize it, to filter it, to figure out and get it down to 10 to 20 topics, for each user, and it's personalized to you as a user. So as you use it more, it learns what you're more likely to be interested in.
I would like to know a little bit more about your. Sorry, Mick, if you were done.
Sorry, Steve, well done.
About your structure, your setup. Having a freelancer working on this, you're working on it. Like, how are you structuring the memory? How do you set up the specs for this so that it follows along? And the structural management of this must be pretty complex.
Yeah, very good question. Vibe coding definitely is like a single player sport. It's not multiplayer. And it was funny initially, and I've run a software business for 15 years, so it's embarrassing to say, but like we were writing over each other's work and duplicating features or building the same feature in totally different ways. So I guess we had that initial phase of messiness and inefficient development. But what transpired is really the creation of a staging environment, which a lot of us try to avoid. But there's a staging environment, and things get staged. And they get staged in staging before going to production. This is the light mode. So staging, feature gating, all of that allowed us to approach it with a bit more sophistication than we were in terms of just committing stuff and it's going live in production. So that was one big piece. From a human perspective, like we chat every day asynchronously through chat, which I'll show you how we coordinate that shortly. And then obviously using GitHub. And because it's not just like Pat and I individually writing stuff and committing it, you'll see my harness. We each have dozens of agents that are working on the same product at the same time. And the agents are the ones that are committing and doing stuff when I sleep and when he sleeps and things of that nature. So, yeah, hopefully that gives you some insight. And I'll do some demos shortly on the back end and the workflows.
Thanks.
Yeah. Other questions?
I have a question about the content. I didn't understand. Are you scraping the content? Are you like using official APIs? How are you fetching everything?
It's a combination. It's pretty complex. So there's scraping involved. Appify, which ends up using scraping or APIs, is heavily involved. Firecrawl.
So you don't have your official apps on the like Instagram API or YouTube API, Reddit?
YouTube, yes. X, yes. Reddit, I think is not. No. Instagram is not. Yeah, it's a combination of different methodologies. In my software business that I ran for 15 years, is still a growing, thriving concern. We did quite a bit with web scraping for 15 years. So I have, I'd say, a background and understanding in that, and I'm amazed with how strong the technology is today compared to what we had to build manually for so long. But
it's not reliable. It depends. It depends on the use case. But I have my company works like 15 years with APIs and scraping, yes, for some use cases, but it can't be reliable constantly. So we use most of the time official APIs. Like I mentioned with Reddit, the API works very well. Instagram, keywords on TikTok, for example, also keywords work mentions through the API very well. Like you mentioned 4,000 content per day, but this is like million, videos, whatever. Yeah. Okay. That was my question. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Kate. Any other questions or feedback? Okay. Let's move on. So that was my hero project. I wanted to walk you guys through a few things I've been thinking about around like where does vibe coding go, and what are the impacts? And I'm very curious to hear the group's thoughts on this as well. This is a little presentation I've been giving over the last few months when asked to speak at a few AI meetups in Lisbon and across Europe. And my thesis is that a billion people are probably going to start to learn to build with AI. There's now about 1.3 billion people that chat with AI. That took 3 years to come to this place. And today, I estimate there's about 50 million people that are building with AI actively. And my question is, what happens when 1 billion people start building with AI? So 20x where we're at today. I think the world could look like a very different place. And my view is that in the past, there's the people who can build, and then there's everyone else. And the people who could build essentially had power in terms of higher salaries, in terms of deciding the products that we all use. A lot of power was concentrated with builders in the past. And then now with vibe coding, building becomes democratized. And that's something I'm very excited about. That's where you can see projects like Vibin is to help support that vision of everyone can be building. All right, so I ran a software company for 15 years, and I still couldn't build. I never wrote code for the company, and I always felt constrained. And now I don't. All right, so the trajectory is 2022, ChatGPT arrived, and 2023, it started to be used as a co-pilot. Vibe coding in late 2024 was, introduced, and then into last year, we're now seeing full apps without even looking at a single line of code. So I think it's just the starting, and this is something you'll see across a lot of the projects that I've been working on, is focusing on the problem versus the building. And I think that's really the opportunity. I definitely have the feeling of this being a video game, and I know a lot of you do as well, and this addictive feedback loop. But unlike other addictions, building with AI leaves me feeling more at the end, where a lot of other addictions leave people feeling less. And that's why I think it's a healthy addiction in that sense. How many people, I guess here, maybe just by a show of hands or thumbs up, have faced this issue? The first 95% is 5% of the effort, and then the last 5% is all of that, all of the work. Yeah. I'm going to show you one of the workflows I've built around this last 5%, and that's definitely where I spend 95% of my time.
There's another phrase. All the mistakes were made in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And so you spend, the first 95% all of this time, and you find out, oh, I asked the wrong question in the first place. So asking the right question in the first place is something that probably AI can also help with. But I have a question here, and this is not a criticism, but I've seen this movie before. In terms of democratizing things, right? Oh yes, the internet's going to democratize everything. The web's going to democratize everything. So I would be a bit skeptical about how far that democratization is going to go. I'm not saying it's not going to happen, but I've heard those promises in the past many times.
Yeah, I appreciate the comment. I don't think we're on a path to democratize it, but I'd love to see us get on that path. I think the world is better.
That's the question, especially for AI CASCAIS, because AI CASCAIS is devoted towards education about AI, and so that particular question is, democratizing AI is actually core to AI CASCAIS. The nonprofit entity has it sort of written in, and Mikkel and Eric will talk more about that. But this is absolutely crucial in terms of funding the nonprofit as to what you ask to be funded in order to educate the public on how to survive with AI. That's why I asked the question.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm, I think AI literacy is going to be critical for the future for everybody, and that's something I feel really passionate about. I'm making lots of time to write about it, to think about it, to build products to help promote literacy of this new skill.
So just to give an example, how a neophyte can start vibing without going bankrupt. That would be a really interesting thing for CASCAIS AI or AI CASCAIS to look into, because if everyone starts using this, you can run up a bill pretty fast. And there are some open source things out there, so that would be a really interesting thing. How can you start with vibing free? How can you learn? Where do you start? What do you do? And those types of questions, I think, would be, with your experience, I think would be really welcome to interface with us on developing this education pitch to various funders.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a precedence there, right? So government of Estonia has now made available AI tools to all students, and they're encouraging it. The UAE government has been doing that. Malta last month announced they're making AI tools, mostly ChatGPT, available for free to its population. So there's a couple called small, some of them rich countries that are already doing it today, which is great to see.
That's really interesting, and I think it's that would be something to put in our pitch, is to say this is already going on. what's going on in Cascais? What's, like, how can we help the citizens of Cascais do exactly that without waiting for the government to go ahead? Or maybe the government can support the nonprofit entity to do just that.
Douglas,
Yeah.
did you see the thing that Gerard posted in the general chat?
The flood has overwhelmed me, so the answer is no.
So NVIDIA just released some, basically access to 80 plus AI. So there's a ton of stuff that's kind of approaching this, and I know who don't have a lot of capital that are able to kind of plug in some of these tools and help recycle the free tokens and can get people on board. Now, getting people exposure to that, it's probably a part and parcel, but there's a load of stuff out there.
Yeah,
You
and
don't
bridging that gap for people who don't even know what AI is the trick.
Yep.
Is that
Yep.
first, the first 95% is actually bridging that gap.
Yeah, definitely.
Can I suggest one idea? If you want something in Cascais, maybe we can just open like a AI cafe and make a setup of all these, like small units where people can use free models, any free models we find from the list Chad mentioned, and just have like a space from the municipality. Hey guys, this is AI Cascais vibe coding cafe. Just come and try, just vibe code. And
that's cool.
And there's it's a very small investment. We all can invest in something like that.
Exactly.
Yes.
And Eric's looking into something like that.
Yeah.
So he's kind of on that pathway, but I think that would be an excellent thing to do. Really, really good and practical.
Yes, we are working on that. We are presenting a pitch to the council to either they give us a space where we can have our clubhouse, or they rent spaces for our events for a symbolic price. So that's what we're working on.
Awesome, guys.
Kunal, go ahead.
Make it happen.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, I'll share with you this. This is kind of like a bit of on the education journey. This is a framework I've been starting to develop and think a lot about is, when AI tools, and still frankly to this day, the response from people is somewhere along the spectrum. And I think it's like a 10-year journey from 2022 where, AI was first introduced, and the overwhelming response was criticism. It's not good. It's making mistakes. Don't trust it, etc. Then as it started to take off, like this confusion, okay, it's here. What do I do with it? How do I use it? What does it mean for my job? I feel, at least in the circles I'm in, curiosity is the predominant emotion and feeling towards AI. And it's starting to move. And I believe over the next year, it'll move into, many of us feeling capable. And then ultimately in a few years from now, actually feeling confident, like truly confident to be able to leverage this. So this is a bit of a maturity curve I'm projecting and predicting. And the question is, what are you going to build? Okay, so those are just a couple thoughts as to why this is important. I thought I'd just share with you. I spent a lot of time building. I do not have kids yet. I do not run a company. I'm fortunate to have the space in my life to explore. And it started about a year ago. My passion was really like learning. And I felt, I'm 40 years old, and I was feeling I haven't actually learned in this way in well over a decade. And that was what was drawing me in. And then it has evolved into an artist energy. And I'm a writer, and I think of lots of ways to express myself, and realizing, hey, this is a beautiful way to express myself and express my ideas. And then a few of the projects like Vibin, I've moved into this founder energy, saying, okay, I think this is a problem that I want to solve and, put something out there in the world. But each of the projects I have, I'll walk you through a handful of the dozen or so projects. The why behind them is somewhere along this spectrum. And half of them are, I would say, in the artist. That's the predominant emotion and motivation I have, which means I'm building them just for myself. I'm not building them to monetize, to launch, to productize. I'm not putting that pressure on myself. A few of them I am, but most of them I'm not. And this took me a bit of time to get to this realization. That's why I wanted to share it, because I think for those of you who are building, it's easy to, I think, fall into the trap of it needs to be a product that gets commercialized and it needs to be the founder energy. I think there's so much value at this early stages of AI to hold the student energy or the artist energy, and to remove the expectations, remove the filter of like, what is the commercial application of what I'm building, to simply, what can I learn from what I'm building? Or what can I create that I feel really proud of and it feels like a work of art, even if nobody uses it, not even me. Out of curiosity, does this resonate with any of you? And does it kind of help and you think of your projects? Maybe some of them fall into different categories. Yeah, great. Yeah, I was pretty hard on myself because I was expecting everything to be like a founder energy, and I was a founder for so long. And a lot of them aren't going to and don't need to. Okay, let's get into how I build. So we talked a bit about the what and the why. I want to get into the how. So these are the three predominant ways I build. Two of them you've heard about. One of them you haven't heard about because it's my own tool. That's my own harness that I've been building. So I thought I'd just share. I'll just share my screen and a few things. After this, I'll walk you through a whole bunch of other products that I've been building at different stages. But let's start with Claude. So here is my Claude's code setup. On Saturday or Sunday night, I went down the rabbit hole of setting up Home Assistant for my smart home in our apartment in Lisbon. Have any of you set up Home Assistant or done any smart home automations? Yeah. So it's my first time. I literally just asked Claude, and it has control of my computer, to set it up. So it set up a virtual machine, it downloaded it, it went through all the things. It spent about 4 hours. I had no idea what it did, but it did it. And then I probably spent another 4 hours going back and forth across different chats, hooking up the 50 or so lights I have across the apartment, the automated blinds, the thermostats, the security camera, what else? Google Home speakers, Sonos speakers, and it's not perfect, but I was really impressed with how I was able to just use Claude to do it, and to do it on my own network. So it's not connected to the internet. It's more secure. It's more private. Internet can go down, which happens in Portugal, and everything will keep working. Any questions? No. So this is my just a quick peek into Claude, and I'm using it a lot. But what I use even more than Claude is Codex. So I've moved over to Codex probably a few months ago, and I essentially have a variety of my projects here. So here is Vibin as an example, and I'm just going back and forth with it constantly. You can see when I last finished these sessions. I start up a new session for every feature. Basically, it barely stays alive for more than 2 to 3 hours, and then I start up a new session. So I'm opening and closing sessions constantly. And then what I want to do is actually show you my a quick look into my harness. So I'm actually just going to fix a feature, a bug that I found like 30 minutes ago in Vibin. So this is what Vibin looks like on mobile. And then I realized that the assistant loads, but we lose the nav bar. So I'm just going to take a screenshot of that. I'm going to go back into Codex. And then this is going to give you a sense. So I'll start a new session. So, use work trees, goes off of main. I've built my own harness. It's called a relay. I'm going to show you a demo of this behind the scenes in a second once I get this launched. But this starts up a work tree. It hydrates the environment. It copies all the variables and logins locally into the branch. While this is loading up, I'm just going to put the screenshot. I'm going to use Whisper. So I noticed on mobile web, the nav bar disappears on the assistant tab. That's clearly a bug. Please fix it. Don't normally say please. I'm just saying that because I have an audience right now. So it takes 18 seconds, and then this will work. This will work. It shouldn't take more than a few minutes. And then what I'll do is I'll just type in the word ship, and then I'll literally move on to a different feature. So I don't need to go look at this again. I don't need to go QA it. There's QA built into it. I don't need to deploy it. Ship takes care of a deployment protocol. So this is kind of what I'm doing all day is I spin up sessions, I hit relay, I bark a bunch of features or bugs that are related to each other. They get queued up, I hit ship, and then I go to another session, and then I never actually go to this again. Okay. So while that is going, let me show you what this looks like behind the scenes. So I've spent quite a bit of time over the last month building my own development harness, and that has been to help me basically like move faster and move towards a more autonomous setup. So it's called Full Stack. It's just for me. It's just my own internal dashboard. But where this is going is to become an operating system for managing all my agents, all the activity across, the dozen or so, projects and repos I have. So what you're seeing here, like for example, at 68 tickets in the last 72 hours, a bunch of them failed. On average, each ticket took 11 minutes. These are the tickets across different projects I have. And this is a full dashboard. I don't actually use it as much as I thought I would, but I just put this together today. I had, actually, before I show you the interface, I'll show you how I built this demo for you guys today. So I started relay. When was this? This was at 3:25 p.m. So about 6 hours ago. And I said, I'm doing a demo of a group of builders online today. I want to give them a demo of the harness. What do you think are ways we can do that? I'm thinking something built into the dashboard as a demo or as an outline. It took 23 seconds. It came up with the demo page concept of the harness. I actually didn't even read it. I just said, sounds good. Put it at /demo. Took 10 minutes, built it, created screenshots. I said what's missing. It fit gaps. I just picked one of the gaps that I thought was relevant. I hit ship, and then it shipped it. So that's how I used the harness to create a demo of the harness a few hours ago. And then let's go through the actual demo together. So these are the steps. This is the life cycle. So the intake, you can see here what happens is essentially I'll show you a different screen share, but what's interesting about this entire harness is I can control it all through WhatsApp. So I give an intake. It could be through the CLI, it could be through WhatsApp, it could be through this web dashboard. It then classifies it. So it's trying to figure out which repo, because I have about a dozen projects. So which repo is it in? It uses a local runner on my Mac Mini. So I'm logged into Claude and Codex. So I'm not using tokens. I'm not paying per usage. So it's a very efficient way to go through these tickets. If I used OpenClaw or Hermes or these other harnesses, they would eat up tokens and dollars very, very, very quickly, especially at the scale that I'm using this at. So in the classify, it also says as a bug fix, what's the level. It sets a timer for how long it should take, so that way it can hold itself accountable. Then it goes through a planning step. No big surprise there. Something that's happened on each of the repos is they've all been mapped. So this harness has built a map of the code base in each repo to allow agents to figure out where in the code base they need to go. I find without that map, working in Claude or Codex directly, you waste a lot of tokens, you waste a lot of time trying to navigate where to go, which is understandable. Then it actually does the build. The build is actually the fastest part because all this pre-work has happened. It does a code level audit. So it audits the code it wrote and finds and fixes bugs. And then it creates a PR, merges it to GitHub, and then it looks at Vercel or Railway or Cloudflare, wherever the app is hosted, and looks at the logs to then confirm that it actually got deployed properly. And that's really important because a lot of time gets wasted, and it says it's done, but it didn't actually deploy or got tripped up somewhere. And then it sends a notification back. So this is about like a month of work, not dedicated work, but it's always been continually being evolved. And then it's really it's really incredible actually. So I'm going to share with you my WhatsApp. So it's my top chat here, and I essentially let me find some examples. Okay, so here are examples. So this was yesterday. So I just typed in the name of my project Vibe, and I put a screenshot, and I was complaining about the rounded corners. I didn't like them. And I sent a voice note, and then I hit done, and then it sent it to the agent. And then here's the bug. So anyways, I'm just reporting bugs on my phone. And then when it finishes the bugs, it sends me back a screenshot and then how long it took to complete it. And a few days ago, spent 30 minutes on the couch and I submitted 56 bugs across 6 different apps. And that, like we talked about, that final 5% takes 95% of the time. That's what I've been like on a mission to bring down, knowing it's easy to get started, it's hard to finish. So I'm focusing very specifically on that problem. I'll pause. Any questions or feedback?
How did you set the harness up with WhatsApp? Like, was there, obviously you sort of get that baked in with a lot of the Hermes, the OpenClaw stuff. Did you find a convenient package to make convenient what you're doing? What was the best way to link in those channels?
A more reliable but more expensive approach. So 360 Dialogue, they're like an old school meta partner. So they essentially it's a pretty dumb solution, but it acts as a API into WhatsApp. And you don't have to set up a Facebook developer account and an app and get it approved, but you don't have to do any of that nonsense. 360 Dialogue kind of does it all. So you can get up and going in 5 minutes. And it's very reliable, and they operate at a pretty large scale, and their support is good as well. So I have, it costs 50 to 100 euros a month. So there is a cost to it, but that's a proper WhatsApp integration, which scales. You don't need to go this approach. You can obviously use the WhatsApp web account, which is what OpenClaw and Hermes do, but that's not scalable and it's not reliable, and I don't like it. It's very hacky. Where this is a very robust, productized approach. I have like 12 WhatsApp numbers because each of my products have a WhatsApp component to it. So I've leaned in very, very hard into WhatsApp.
Did you consider any other platforms? Like I use Telegram for all of my stuff.
Yeah,
Curious
I'm
on
not a
how to-
Telegram user personally, but Telegram is obviously easier to set up than WhatsApp. Or so you don't need the intermediary. You won't have as many costs. You get better analytics. It's faster. So yeah, Telegram is better for this at all levels.
Just it's awesome. Just like it fills a lot of like the problems that I've been having in terms of how I'm managing everything, like spread and a lot of hand holding through stuff. Although you give Claude or whatever like full reign to do what it needs to do, you still are essentially very in the mix of what's being produced. So this is really awesome.
Yeah, thank you. I'm definitely inspired by the vision of moving to an autonomous workflow. And so yeah, to give you a sense, is I've started to build other agents in here. So this is like an SEO agent that's looking at, a couple of like 3 products in particular where SEO matters. It's logged into Google Search Console. It's bringing in the data. And it's not fully there, but what I want it to be doing is identifying bugs and ways to optimize, and then have this monitoring agent trigger, the bug fixing agent. I have a network operations dashboard, and across my dozen apps, across all of the backend services, basically, there's 402 connections in total. So I can look at like railway, and you can see I have 61, services on railway, and this has a status. Most are healthy. Or I can look at, WhatsApp. I have 13, I guess, accounts, and you can see some of the status is degraded. I guess there's some messaging limits or something I'm hitting there. Resend for email. Google Cloudflare has 41 services. So this is a centralized monitoring dashboard, not for me. I don't actually ever look at this. But then there's an agent that's looking at this, and when it finds an issue, it's not fully hooked up, but it's meant to then report it, and then the other agent will, address it. Same thing on web analytics. Just to load up here. So this is, full stack is my own operating system across all of my projects, and instead of solving the same problem in every single repo, I'm trying to abstract it out and build a system to help me manage the projects. Yeah, go ahead, Chad.
Yeah, like, I don't know if anybody else is struggling with this, but I'm finding things are, to your earlier point, the curiosity gets insane, and so I'm spinning so many different threads. The cognitive switching has been real tricky. Like, I get in a really good flow, and I'm kind of focused in it for a bit, but then life happens, kid has a thing, and then you come back and to try to get back to work, find out how many other 13 threads were processed.
Chad, you're cutting out.
Am I? Sorry, guys. Might be my AirPod. But let me. How bad is it?
Yeah, no, I mean your question is about really context switching and staying organized and focused, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
So my quick thing is I do rename the I name all the sessions and chats, and they're organized into folders, and then I'll collapse the stuff that I'm not paying attention to, and that helps me know what did I kickstart, and what do I have to go back to. I'm pretty lazy about it. I'm like really motivated to be lazy. Like, I've built this entire harness that allows me in one word to start it, bark all my wish list, and then one word to finish it, and then I never look at it again. I've been building iOS apps, and in the harness, actually I'll show you here the Vibin app. I just put the word build, and then it builds, it takes 7 minutes. It does the test flight, ships it, gets it to the phone. I'm not going to do it in front of you, but I can hit publish, and it'll submit it to the Apple App Store and go through all those checks. It might take 20 minutes to do it. So there's a lot of, call it, mundane things that aren't worth our hand-holding time. And those are things to build into these keywords. And into these shortcuts versus things that actually are worthy of our agent holding time. And okay, any other questions?
I have a question about the vendors. You mentioned like for each phases, I'm suggesting or maybe assuming that you are having like MCPs or some sort of connectors. Do you have the setup in codecs only, or how is the setup of the connectors basically handled?
I'm not using a lot of MCPs. The Cloudflare, vSend, Railway, Neon, Google Cloud.
Yeah, GCS. Okay, yeah.
Logged into the CLI for all of them. So that means Claude, Codex, anything, they can access the CLIs. So it is interesting. I have to prompt it often. It's like, hey, like let's set up this domain for a new project, right? And there's so many things that have to happen: database, front end, back end, DNS records, email, WhatsApp, clerk for the login, and it can do it. Like it can do it autonomously. Whereas even 3 months ago, that would take me like so much back and forth and prompting. Now go set this up, or I would go log in. Like it sounds funny to say, like I used to go and log into Cloudflare's UI. I used to go into Clerk's UI for login stuff. I don't see any logins for any dashboards now.
Okay. Cool.
Like my advice to the developer teams at all of these tools is your UI doesn't matter, because nobody's going to be using it in the future. It's going to be agents. Like even my full stack UI, I don't really use it. I just talk to an agent that goes and finds the information. Okay, let's show you a few more projects that I've been working on, just to give you a sense of the variety of problems. So I've been busy. There's a number of things here that I'm excited to share with you. So Vibin, is definitely top of the list, but close second is this product called Noto, and this is my personal operating system. So this is what it started as a to-do list 6 months ago, and that's the ultimate procrastination tool. Is instead of doing the work, I would build a tool to organize the list of the work I have to do. But this has turned into something that I think is useful. So this is my today tab. These are the things that I wanted to do today. I didn't do them all, obviously. This is the weather in Lisbon. I can see the next 2 days are going to be hot. And this is the count my schedule. So even this would take me like 3 or 4 taps on my phone to see. And this is all now in one place. The schedule is here. This includes Tanya and my wife's schedule, our home calendar, my calendar. So this is all in one place. And essentially I've recreated a new UI for Google Calendar. It looks basically the same. It's a Google Calendar behind the scenes, but it's all fully hooked up. This is my actual to-do list. So like I can look at Vibin. These are the different tasks. Pat is my freelancer, so he's working on this as well. And then we can go back and forth and comment on tasks and things of that nature. Tanya and I are planning our honeymoon right now. So we have a honeymoon project, and it's shared with her. So we're sharing documents and links and research. That's task management. Chat is here. So essentially recreated Slack. So this is Pat and I going back and forth, with videos, voice notes, links, every day. Rebecca's actually a book editor, so she's editing my next book that I'm working on. And I have her in here working with me. Simple news feed, as you'd expect, kind of Apple News inspired. But then what's interesting is I've hooked this into my email, and all my newsletters come into here. So I don't actually read newsletters anymore in my inbox. They all come here. They get summarized into 5 bullets for me. And and then this gets summarized, once a day for me. And that's the one email I get. So that comes into here, and then I've been building these assistants. It started really simple with like a birthday calendar, and that's hooked into the schedule and the reminders. The concept of contacts. So I realized I don't own my contacts. They're sitting in Google and Apple. So this syncs and brings all my contacts into one place. And I can track information about my contacts. Like I was in London last week. Once this gets fully populated, I should be able to just type in London and see who's everybody I know in London. It's just a personal CRM that's hooked into my other pieces. A translation assistant. No explanation needed for all of us expats living in Portugal. And then I'm building these other research assistants for shopping, travel, restaurants. I've got an outbound phone agent, so it can make phone calls on my behalf. Mostly testing with restaurant reservations right now. And then all the smart home. I mentioned I went deep down the smart home rabbit hole, so all of that is hooked into here as well. So, yes, go ahead.
Well, Kunal, can I ask you a question about the smart home?
Yes.
This is an incredible, it couldn't maybe sound stupid, but prefacing that, I haven't heard security mentioned yet in terms of, I mean, all of these apps get access to, passwords and codes and, everything else. And, the stories that have been going out around about OpenClaw,
yeah.
giving out people's passwords in their operating system. So how do you deal with that whole issue?
That's why I don't use OpenClaw. So what I'm showing you here is my own version of it, basically, because I've built this, I've hand built this, every part of it myself, and it's hosted in my environments and my control and my keys. I'm fully confident on the security of this because I've built this from ground up.
So even when you're using Claude, for example, there's no pass through into Claude of all this data. No. I mean, it's sitting in a database. So when I have a Claude agent building features on this, yes, it probably does have access to that database. Yes.
But that's within that work session. So yeah, I do think there are security risks with using open source repos. OpenClaw is 1 million lines of code. You don't know what's in there. That's a lot of code. And agents don't have enough context to do a proper security scan of a repo with 1 million lines of code.
Right. So I'm asking this question again, thinking of the education aspect for CASCAIS residents. So that's the flip side of this whole thing. The one side of that coin is here's what it can do. The other side of the coin is here's what it can do to you.
Sure.
And so that's a whole area that is keeping a lot of people away. And I think that we have to deal with in a very major way. If you're advising people or you're telling them, here are all these agents, these free agents out there, what type of warnings and are we going to be giving to people who are just basically you're handing them a lit stick of dynamite and saying, hey, go play with this.
You're right. There's definitely education required, and those of us who are educating definitely need to be responsible for that.
Right. And so what I'm suggesting is that, again, from the viewpoint of AI cascadation, what it's going to be doing is that's a big deal. And that has to be part of the fundamental education for people who are neophytes at this. Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah, Stephen?
These projects are all quite big, and they probably start from one small idea. Do you always start with a problem, and how do you distill it into something? Because I think that to your point, like starting is easy, finishing is hard, and these are endlessly not finishable.
Correct. These are not finishable.
Where do where do you start? Like, I find that like, I do kick off a lot of things, but they get so big so quickly in terms of what you can look at. How do you stay focused on the thing, the thing that you're solving?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So I think I made a lot of mistakes in building a business for 15 years, like, and the cost of not being focused pre-AI was really high, right? Like, I've spent millions of dollars building products that were dead the day we launched it and realized we completely missed the boat. Spent months on building features that nobody actually needed. So I learned, I guess, the hard way on the lack of focus, and it's costed me a lot of money and frustration over the years. All of that has taken me to this really, really agile place where I just literally start with one feature and I make sure that it works before I add another feature, and just taking that iterative approach. So, for example, in Noto, version 1 of it was just a to-do list. And then version 2 involved creating projects to organize the to-do lists. And then version 3 had chats. And then version 4 had the calendar. And then version 5 is when I created the today, and then the AI tab. But each time I kind of the product was finished, and then I started again, and then it's finished, and then I started again. So there was a clear moment of like pause. And same thing with Vibin. So Vibin started with just the Signal tab, so just the Reddit Hacker News inspired, like and it was actually first called Inbox, and it was limited to just 10 topics once a day. So I was really trying to tackle the information overload. And then I realized this was helpful, but I was still going to X and other places to follow specific people. So then created the feed, which is these are people that I actually want to know everything they're publishing. And then came the ability to save content, because I realized I saw stuff, but I didn't want to tackle it right away. So then I wanted to save it. And then came the help desk, realizing like Claude and ChatGPT were always slightly out of date with the latest on vibe coding tools, which I understand based on their architecture. And I was like, I have all that content here. So a lot of my day-to-day tactical questions. And then the watch piece was actually more inspired by my sister and my brother-in-law, who are doing a lot of vibe parenting and vibe cooking. And that's why you see those verticals there, because I showed it to them. And I realized they weren't as advanced as I am. And that's where I was like, what would be useful for them? And that's where they came up with this. And they started sending me content from around the social web. And I was like, all right, let's just put that in here. But each time it was a usable product.
Yeah, I suppose it's knowing when it's solving your problem before moving on. I think I built like a YouTube ingest piece because I'm like, I was spending so much time watching video content and to learn. It's like, maybe I can just get this, but now I'm not really watching or reading because it's too much content. So I need to kind of go back and say, it's not solving the problem I intended it to solve. So I can't build on this until I've solved the actual problem, so. Yeah.
Yes, it's absolutely critical, is to solve the problem.
Have you built into the system a series of prefacing questions like, is there a market for this? Is it practical? And are there other tools like this? Have you, so that from the get-go, you're going to get that kind of feedback? Have you built that into your system?
So my answer to that's going to be controversial, unorthodox. I actually don't do any research, and that's the entrepreneur in me, and that's what actually energizes me a lot, is the idea of like the challenge. Can I build this, even if it already exists, even if it exists and it's better and cheaper? I get really excited by that. So like now that I've released Vibin, I'm hearing of other people who are doing similar things, which is great because I'm drawing inspiration from it. Had I seen those, I wouldn't have even tried to do it. I've had so much fun, and I've learned so much by doing it. And then back to my earlier point of kind of the this is a big part of it. Like, this is what drives me as an artist. And, artists take inspiration from others, but artists, I'd say probably look more inside than outside for that inspiration. And that's a lot of what drives me.
Yeah, and that's fine. That's super. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Again, I'm trying to segue back to the ordinary person who, and that's why I asked if you have that set of tools built in, which the answer is no, because you're doing it for you're doing it for other reasons. But it would be very interesting to have that set of basic tools built into anything for neophytes.
I think what Kunal's going for, you kind of got that Rick Rubin sort of approach of like, you build things because you want the creation, and sure, it may exist out there, but nobody's going to be able to kind of look at it from your lens and your narration and your story. So you'll create something that is uniquely you. And if you pour your art and love into it, it could then be something that might be useful to somebody else, but that isn't necessarily the end goal to begin with, right?
Yeah, it's really hard to build something that you yourself are going to use.
Yeah.
And it's even harder to build something that you yourself are going to use every day for 30 days.
Yeah.
And like, I give lots of talks, especially to younger entrepreneurs. And that's the challenge I'm giving myself. So I'm comfortable giving it to others, is like, before you launch the product for somebody else, before you even talk about sales and marketing and distribution and monetization, prove that you yourself are going to use the product on a repeated basis. And that's shockingly difficult.
Yeah, totally. Amen to that, brother.
And it's very humbling. So I'll show you an example of that. So I'm a big meditator, and I journal quite a bit, set intentions every month. Been doing that for 10 years now. So I created this tool called Circar. You can use it. It's live. I'm not actively promoting it though. So I built it just for myself. Actually, let me go into the demo mode. So this is a simple intention setting journal that's based on my own philosophy of how I set intentions. And so every year I set, let's get this to load up. Okay, every year I set a long-word intention. I have priorities, for the year. And then every month I set a few monthly intentions. It's a very simple framework that I use. And this is an app. It's a mobile website. And then Tanya and I set intentions within the context of our relationship every month as well. And that's something that we track here. And then at the end of the month, we share highlights, lowlights for the month, and, talk about our satisfaction against the intentions. So it's very soft, but it helps us talk about our relationship on a regular basis. There's a journal here as well. So just capturing, notes. And then I have a few friends that are using this, and we talk about intentions. And then we created this friend mode where we can publish and share intentions with each other. And that's an AI analysis of the intentions. So anyways, just sharing that with an example of something that's pure artistry. I would actually never want to charge anybody for this, because that's not aligned with the energy of a mindfulness-oriented tool. But I'm using it. I've been using it for a few months. Tanya's using it. Friends are using it. So there's a lot of value, for us. And it's a lot of fun to build. A lot of fun to build. Let me show you guys on the other end of mindfulness is trading in the stock market. Or the real test of mindfulness. So that is something I'm quite active with, and I'll go into demo mode here. And I've essentially, built my own Bloomberg terminal to help me manage my stock portfolio. I'm very active in the market. Last year I did 2,000 trades. This year, actually, I've already passed 2,000 trades for this year. So daily basis, spending an hour or 2 hours, trading. And I was logging into about 15 different tools every day. And now I've consolidated everything into one tool. This has taken a lot of time. This is a demo account right now, but essentially there's a portfolio management, there's performance over time, trade logs, watch lists. I mean, I use all the finance tools, so it's pretty easy to draw inspiration for kind of what it needs to look like and have. You can see charts, you can look at fundamentals and revenue, profitability of companies, tons of technical analysis that I love to look at, momentum indicators, derivatives, which I'm active with. There's research, so content coming in from different sources and videos, and all of this gets transcribed, and trade suggestions come out of it. So it's very extensive. Yeah, there's quite a bit. And then it's connected to a brokerage, so I can actually trade through it and execute trading activity here.
How's it performing? How's it performing over the past 4 or 5 days?
Terribly, but that's me. I mean, this is my tool, so I'm using it. It's not making any decisions. So this is purely workflow, a workflow tool for myself. But I don't think this will. Yeah, that didn't. So I've just today actually started to build some AI traders that are using the tool and deploying different quant strategies. It's new territory for me, but I'm enjoying learning about it and creating a playground to trade and to learn along the way. So it's a live product. You can use it if you want to track your portfolio. It's really, you can go as deep as you want to, or as simple as you want to. So that's on the finance side. On the health side, created this tool. I haven't spent a lot of time, so this is an actual work in progress. So let's see how this loads, but essentially a health tracker. So all the health testing I do, all the blood work. I'd like to bring in the wearables data. It's not hooked in yet. And then all the chat and the ChatGPT medical stuff that happens. All right. Let me see if I can log in here and see if that's faster. Yeah. So so all the labs coming into one place, and then being able to look at the trend of all my blood work and data over time. The wearable data is not in here yet. And then the key thing is when I'm asking questions, it knows it has access to all my data. So it's informed and educated, and then over time I can start to control this. And being able to generate briefs. So when I go see a doctor, instead of handing them all these different reports, I can hand them a simple, let's see, can hand them a simple report, different lens that they can use and quickly see. Okay, yeah, there's probably a few more projects I haven't shared, but I want to leave a bit of time for any other questions or feedback that the group might have.
I'd be interested to see how your traders pan out. And if you have a buy this, make me rich one, just share the public repo. That would be great. Thanks.
Well, I won't even know how it works, but yeah, or why it works.
Well, Kunal, I'm a big fan of your projects, and I'm reading your book. I'm getting emails from Vibin that I actually read. It's like a newsletter I actually read. But I'm also super curious because we didn't talk about that as much when we met in Lisbon. But I'm curious to why, and this goes more back to your story, your personal story. I'm curious to why you made the decisions you made, like because it reminds me a bit of what I did in my life, right? Closing a successful company, because we just weren't satisfied and just pivoting to something else or half and moving halfway across the world. I'm curious to what went through your mind when you made those decisions.
I think it was I think the connective tissue with all of it is the sense of curiosity,
Mm-hmm.
and then staying curious. And as you can see through AI, it's just allowed me to explore my curiosity. Coming to Portugal initially was a spontaneous decision for me from a place of curiosity. Starting businesses, and even the way I met Tanya and set that up, in Australia, set up a life there with her, completely spontaneously. I'd say curiosity is definitely what's been driving me.
Uh-huh.
And I think it's great, like how chatbots have made, I think, all of us a lot more curious, especially younger people. People asking questions, and a lot of you have kids. I see my cousin's kids, and they seem to know a lot more than they did 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Not just 3 years older, but
Yes.
I could see they're more curious.
Yes.
So yeah, I just love all of us being more curious and being able to explore our curiosities in our own ways.
And it's become more fun to learn compared to when we were young, where we had one teacher that knew one way of teaching, and now we can teach in whatever way we want to. No, we can learn in whatever way we want to learn visually. We can read, we can listen, because we all have our own way of learning, right? So, and that was missing, and that is here now. And I'm super happy for the new generation that they can actually learn the way they want to learn.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Let me actually share on that. The one, and some of you guys may know, last year I had a newsletter called Pivot 5, and I just relaunched it. I encourage you to sign up for it. It's not as geeky and technical as Vibin is. It's more for the average person, and it's a beautiful newsletter. It's getting up to 1 million people a day. It's generating ad revenue that's funding all my subscriptions and expenses, and it's all fully automated as well, fully autonomous, behind the scenes, everything. So that's a project that I spent a lot of time building. But the purpose of this is education and helping raise the awareness of what's happening in AI.
I'm curious about that. Because I'm also running my own newsletter, and I'm just starting out. I'm curious to how you are automating that. Is that so? What is Pivot 5? Is that your newsletter, or is it a platform you are publishing from?
No, this is mine. Yeah, this is mine. So it's actually uses the same backend as Vibin. So this brings in content from across the internet, mostly news sites.
Okay.
And then there's a full publishing workflow. So if I want to create an edition, it's a full publishing system that I've built. Actually, I'll go into the newsroom.
Interesting.
So you can last 4 hours, 3,000 pieces of content have come in, and then we've generated 69 articles. Spent that much in 7,000, AI calls. There's some bugs there. It's showing by, source. These are all the stories. So yeah, I actually don't use the dashboard very much, but it's a full publishing system that
All right.
has been built to power the website. And then the newsletter, there's actually a podcast as well. There's a WhatsApp. So it's cross. You can consume it however you want.
Okay, cool. Very cool. Yeah, I'm struggling with Beehive, man. I don't love it, but I realize that it's good for growth. But this is interesting, being able to build your own platform that you publish from. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Guys, any other questions for Kunal?
Just very quickly, I've got a also jump off, but there was one statement that you made, the one statement in your presentation about the people who solve things are closest to the problem. I just want that is, and I want will you share the deck that you put together, or you had put together, and then just a recap of what that phrase is. Definitely going to use that at Web Summit. So.
Yeah, and I'll add to that. You can see all the projects I've shared with you. They're all problems that I'm experiencing, and many of you probably are experiencing them as well. And I built a company, a B2B software company, so I had to always talk to clients to understand the problem, and that involved flights and meetings and meetings and meetings and meetings, and that feedback loop has been cut to literally zero, in the sense, if I am the user, then I understand the problem instantly. And then with AI agents, especially autonomous agents that I'm working to build, the development loop also cuts to zero. And that's kind of, I think, where the sweet spot is, where the asymmetric potential return is of just value and creativity and expression of my time, is when I'm using AI to solve my own problems. And that's what I think the opportunity is for a billion people. It's very exciting. And it's easy to solve problems that we understand and that we feel, that we empathize with. So that's kind of, I think, probably the secret under why I'm flying and able to build so much so quickly solo, is because I'm focused on things that I understand. Versus things that I have to spend energy to try to understand.
Yeah, true.
Cool.
Yeah, I also write a personal blog called Unprompted. I'll just share that with you guys here. So these are kind of my tales of write about once a week. So you can sign up if you're interested. And this is really the kind of what I'm learning about vibe coding. A bit more from a reflection standpoint and a mindfulness standpoint versus a tactical standpoint. And it helps me integrate my own experience. So this is what's helping me grow.
Cool.
And then I encourage you guys to check out Vibin and give me feedback, and try it out in the App Store. That's something that's built for all of you.
Fantastic. Guys, any last questions for Kunal?
Nice one. Thanks, Kunal. Appreciate it, man.
Thanks, Mick.
Thanks, Kunal. Good to meet you, man.
All right. I think that's where we'll leave it. Kunal, brother, thank you, man. It's really nice to have you in and showing us what you've been building, and for showing us the real thing, right? So no fluffy stuff, and not only slides. I think it's nice to see the messy parts also of vibe coding. That's the most useful thing, I think. And so let's give Kunal a proper hand, maybe through emojis, giving him a proper
Thanks,
applause.
Kunal.
And I hope to see you soon here so you can show us more. And you mentioned you were maybe moving to CASCAIS. Is that still on or no?
Yeah, we're in the market for like a family home. So
Okay.
yeah.
Cool.
When
So you'll
we find
our neighbor, hopefully.
Yeah, when we find our dream home, just sort of family, and we expect to be in CASCAIS.
Fantastic, man. To everyone watching,
I see. I was trying to pull people out of Lisbon. I see how it is.
well, it's CASCAIS is just a different vibe, right? It's mostly for us more calm people, families. I don't know. What do you guys think, right? All right, man.
Okay, thank you guys.
Thanks for watching. Thanks for joining. Thanks for the questions also. And that is it. I'll see you soon. We'll see you soon. And for the meetups also, Kunal, you're also very welcome to our next meetup. I think it's next week. in CASCAIS. And yeah, stay well. Have a great
Thanks,
night.
Mikkel. Thanks for putting this on for us.
Yes, of course.
Appreciate it. Ciao, guys.
Yeah.
Bye, everyone. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks.
Ciao.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.